Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivara Dhari Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Yashodanandana Braja Janarandana Jamuna Tira Vanansari Jamuna Tira Vanansari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare Hare Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jai Radha Madhava Radha Madhava Radhe. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Prabhupada. Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Gaura Pimanandi. Jayam Vishupad Paramahamsa Pri Pradgacharya Stotra Satya Sri Srimad His Divine Grace Srila Bhai Charanarvind Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Skandi Biti Founder Acharyas Divine Grace Srila Prabhupada Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Samavata Bhakti Vrinda Ki Harinam Sankirtan Ki Grantara Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Jai Nitai Gaura Pimanande. All gladies to the assembly devotees, all gladies to the assembly devotees. All gladies to the assembled devotees, all gladies to see Guru and to see Gauranga, all gladies to Srila Prabhupada Ki. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Taksurinmiritam Jena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhuttale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Juta Parakamalam Sri Gurun Vaisnavam Syam Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Ragunatan Vitam Swam Sajivam Sadvaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padam Sahagana Lalita Sri Visakanditam Sya Hai Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dinabandhu Jagatpate Gopesa Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Taptakantana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sutidevi Pranamame Hari Priye Vansakalpa Tarubhyascha Kripa Sindhu Jaivacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Narayanam Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narotamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, let us first offer our respectful obeisances unto Narayana, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, unto Narayana Rishi, the supremest human being, unto Mother Saraswati, the goddess of learning, and unto Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta Prayasabhadrishu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Tamasloke Bhaktir Bhaviti Naistiki. By regularly hearing the Srimad Bhagavatam and by rendering a service unto the pure devotee, all that is troublesome within the heart becomes destroyed practically to nil, and loving devotional service unto the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, becomes established as an irrevocable fact. Idam Bhagavatam Nama Puranam Brahma Samitam Uttama Shloka Charitam Sakara Bhagavan Rishi Nishreyasaya Lokasya Dhanyam Swasyayanam Mahat. The Srimad Bhagavatam, known as the Grantaraj, the king of all Vedic literatures, is the literary incarnation of God. It is compiled by the incarnation of God, the Sridham Vyasadeva. It is meant for the ultimate good of all people. It is all successful, all blissful, and all perfect. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Om Sarabhyaya Namaha Mukham Karoti Vacharam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam Yat Tamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinataranam. Hare Krishna. Continuing from Canto number 1, chapter 18. Parikshit Maharaj, cursed by a Brahmana boy. Text number 16, I believe. Yes, 1-6. 16. You think 15? Um,
That may be like suggested. 16.
16. Yeah. Sa Vai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Adabhra Buddhihi Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena Bheje Kajendra Dvava Pada Mulam Yes, welcome. Yes. Savai Savai Maha Bhagavata Pariksid Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena Bheje Kajendra Dvajapada Mulam Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena Bheje Kajendra Dvajapada Mulam Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena Bheje Kajendra Dvijapada Mulam Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena Bheje Kagendra Dvajapada Mulam
Savai Mahabhagavata Parikshit
Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid
Yena Pavargakhyam Adabhra Buddhi
Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi
Jnanena Vaisaki Shabditena
Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena
Bheje Khagendra Dhwajapada Moolam
Bheje Kagendra Dvijapada Mulam Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Adabra Buddhi Jnanena Vayasaki Sabditena Bheje Kagendra Dvajapada Mulam Savai Maha Bhagavata Parikshid Yena Pavargakyam Abhadra Buddhi Jnanena vayasaki sabditena. Veje Kajendra Kagendra. Veje Kagendra Dvajapada Mulam Saha. Saha. He. Vai. Certainly. Mahabhagavataha. First class devotee. Parikshit. The king. Yena. By which. Apavarga Akyam. By the name of liberation. Adabhra. Fixed. Buddhihi. Intelligence. Jnanena. By knowledge. Vyasaki. The son of Vyasa. Shabditena. Vibrated by. Bheje. Taken to. Kaga Indra. Garuda, the king of the birds. Dvaja. Flag. Padamulam. Soles of the feet. Translation and the purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki. O Sutta Goswami, please describe those topics of the Lord by which Maharaj Parikshit, whose intelligence was fixed on liberation, attained the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of Garuda, the king of birds. Those topics were vibrated by the son of Vyasa, Srila Shukadeva. Kindly repeat after me. O Sutta Goswami, please describe those topics of the Lord by which Maharaj Parikshit, whose intelligence was fixed on liberation, attained the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of Garuda, the king of birds. These topics were vibrated by the son of Vyasa, Srila Shukadeva. Purport. There is some controversy amongst the students on the path of liberation. Such transcendental students are known as impersonalists and devotees of the Lord. The devotees of the Lord worship the transcendental form of the Lord, whereas the impersonalist meditates upon the glaring effulgence or the bodily rays of the Lord, known as the Brahmajyoti. Here in this verse, it is said that Maharaj Parikshit attained the lotus feet of the Lord by instructions in knowledge delivered by the son of Vyasadeva, Srila Shukadeva Goswami. Shukadeva Goswami was also an impersonalist in the beginning, as he himself has admitted in the Bhagavatam 2:19. But later on, he was attracted by the transcendental pastimes of the Lord, and thus became a devotee. Such devotees with perfect knowledge are called Maha Bhagavatas, or first-class devotees. There are three classes of devotees, namely the Prakrita, Madhyama, and Maha Bhagavata. The Prakrita, or third-class devotees, are temple worshippers without perfect knowledge of the Lord and the Lord's devotees. The Madhyama, or the second-class devotee, knows well the Lord's devotees, the neophytes, and the non-devotees also. But the Mahabhagavata, or the first-class devotee, sees everything in relation with the Lord, and the Lord present in everyone's relation. The Mahabhagavata, therefore, does not make any distinction, particularly between a devotee and non-devotee. Maharaj Parikshit was such a Mahabhagavata devotee because he was initiated by a Mahabhagavata devotee, Shukadeva Goswami. He was equally kind even to the personality of Kali, and what to speak of others. So there are many instances in the transcendental histories of the world of an impersonalist who has later become a devotee. But a devotee has never become an impersonalist. This very fact proves that on the transcendental steps, the step occupied by devotee is higher than the step occupied by an impersonalist. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita 12:5 that persons stuck on the impersonal step undergo more sufferings than achievement of reality. Therefore, knowledge imparted by Shukadeva Goswami unto Maharaj Parikshit helped him attain the service of the Lord. And this stage of perfection is called Apavarga, or the perfect stage of liberation. Simply, knowledge of liberation is material knowledge. Actual freedom from material bondage is called liberation. But attainment of the transcendental service is of the Lord is called the perfect stage of liberation. Such a stage is attained by knowledge and renunciation, as we have already explained, Srimad Bhagavatam 1 to 12. And perfect knowledge, as delivered by Srila Shukadeva Goswami, results in the attainment of the transcendental service of the Lord. Translation again, O Sutta Goswami, please describe the topics of the Lord by which Maharaj Parikshit, whose intelligence was fixed on liberation, attained the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of Garuda, the king of birds. Those topics were vibrated by the son of Vyasa, Srila Shukadeva. Mm. Mm. Yes. So the sages of Naimisharanya are requesting a Sutta Goswami to describe mm, to describe topics of the Lord um, as heard um, by Maharaj Parikshit, um, who is described as the Mahabhagavata. Shukadeva Goswami is in the category of Mahabhagavata, and so is Parikshit Maharaj, so is Sutta Goswami. Mm. They are described as being beyond uh, beyond the stage of liberation, or the perfect stage of liberation. So there's liberation and there's liberation. Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma Nasochati na Kanchati Sama Sarveshu Bhuteshu Madbhaktim Labhate Param. So Brahma Bhuta stage is not the final end stage. Here it is mentioned, actually there are many examples in the Bhagavatam of personalities, very elevated personalities, who had attained the stage of liberation, Brahmabhuta platform. Srila Shukadeva Goswami is pointed out here as being one such person. The Kumaras, as we know, there are various personalities in the Vedic literatures. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, there are personalities like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, who was a very respected, most respected personality, who had so many disciples in Jagannath Puri. Many of these liberated personalities, by coming in contact with Paramahamsas or Mahabhagavatas. Mahabhagavatas, Prabhupada in the purport describes the different levels of devotees, culminating in Mahabhagavata. So Mahabhagavatas are those who are established in their relationship with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Paramahamsas, they are called Paramahamsas. Of course, the word, as Prabhupada mentions in the beginning, there is some controversy. There has been, still to this day. People who are self-realized up to the point of understanding themselves as being spiritual, the impersonalists, that is their position. they're very elevated personalities, but um, the unique feature and special quality that is described in the Bhagavatam regarding Paramahamsa is that he is uh, he is realized in terms of understanding the personal feature or personal aspect of Godhead. Uh, but it's amazing how even people, very often we see persons who are uh, not Vaishnavas also reading the Bhagavatam. They also quote from the Bhagavatam, actually. It's like people quote from the Bhagavad Gita, but are not understanding or not accepting Krishna's tu Bhagavan Swayam, that Krishna is the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Um, so one has to be favored by a devotee of the Lord. It is not so just like in the Brahma Samhita, it is nicely described by Lord Brahma himself that Vedeshu Dolabham Adolabham Atma Bhakto. To understand the Vedic literatures or Vedic knowledge simply by our intellectual capacity or by mental speculation will not give the desired result. One needs to be favored by the good association of a Mahabhagavata, by someone who actually is self-realized. And the special, I think it's mentioned here also in the purport, the special unique feature of those who are on that level is they are engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. Here the text is, in the purport, at least Prabhupada is making the difference, isn't it, between impersonalists and non-impersonalists, well, personalists, those who actually believe in the personal feature and aspect of the Lord. And that is very unique. Very unique means that just like in the material world, actually most people in the material world are impersonalists because they have difficulty, and we find that even sometimes amongst devotees, have difficulty establishing personal relationships. And the whole philosophy of Krishna consciousness actually begins by this whole concept that is called sambandha, isn't it? Sambandha, abhideya, prayojanam. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's whole, we can say, philosophy, which is, of course, the essence of what is presented in the Vedic literatures, is nicely summarized in these three, we could say, philosophical aspects of sambandha, abhideya, and prayojana. And as a matter of fact, of course, yesterday was Srila Jiva Goswami's appearance. And Srila Jiva Goswami is the foremost of the Goswamis who very nicely elaborated very much in detail on this whole aspect of Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. And that is given in detail in his Satsandarbhas. Who has read all the Satsandarbhas? Who knows about Satsang? we know. We know about, yeah. Well, I think are they all available in English?
Yes, so now, yeah. Yes,
Now,
yeah.
by now, okay,
All the,
yeah.
we have
We have in English full. Okay. Which translation? Bhanu Maharaj. Okay, yeah. So the Satsandarbhas are nicely divided. There are 6 Sandarbhas, and they are divided into Sambandha, Abhideya, and Prayojana. Which ones belong to which category? Sambandha. In the Sambandha actually, when we compare the explanations given by Srila Jiva Goswami with those of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Dasamula Tattva, which I think we also have here, supposed to have. It's a small book, it might not be obvious. Yeah. So both, very interesting actually, both spend the majority of the time, and this is a very important instruction for us, I would say, as devotees. They spend the majority of their presentation, in the case of Jiva Goswami, the Satsandarbhas, and in the case of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur, is Dasamulita Tattva. Majority, 80%, is in regards to Sambandha. So, for example, in the Satsandarbhas, the first 4, beginning with Tattva Sandarbha. Tattva Sandarbha, after Tattva Sandarbha, there is Bhagavat Sandarbha. After Bhagavat Sandarbha, there is Paramatma Sandarbha. And after Paramatma Sandarbha, there is Krishna Sandarbha. So, the Tattva Sandarbha, the Bhagavat Sandarbha, Paramatma Sandarbha, and then Krishna, they are dealing with Sambandha. Sambandha. So the first of the teachings or instruction, which is in the Tattva Sandarbha, establishes what's the main, we could say, the main teaching of the Tattva Sandarbha. It establishes 2 things. It establishes the Vedas as being the source of all knowledge, and in a very, what's the expression? In a master stroke, you could call it. It's a masterpiece, actually, of the Tattva Sandarbha. Srila Jiva Goswami establishes that of all the Vedic literatures, the culmination, the topmost, is the Srimad Bhagavatam. And he makes a very, we could say, bold and original statement in the Tattva Sandarbha that for us presently today in Kali Yuga, the Srimad Bhagavatam is more important than the original Vedas, because the original Vedas are practically inaccessible. We discussed a little bit about that some time back. They are inaccessible because, yeah, most of them are not existing, and they are inaccessible because they're written in a Sanskrit language very high. Huh? Yeah. So it's connected with Vedeshu Durlabham. Even majority of people who know Sanskrit I don't want to discourage you. Uh, you're just beginning is learning of Sanskrit. Already learning Sanskrit? A little bit.
Some, yeah, some basic.
Yes, yes, yes. Um, so, so it's quite interesting. So the first four of the sandarbhas are connected with sambandha. And then the fifth sandarbha is called Bhakti Sandarbha. Bhakti Sandarbha. And Bhakti Sandarbha deals with Abhideya. Once we understand deeply, clearly, fully about sambandha, relationship, then we can engage in proper activity, isn't it? Which is quite logical and natural. So Bhakti Sandarbha. And of course, the last of the Sandarbhas, Priti Sandarbha, is Prayojana, the culmination, the destination, the goal, which is to develop a love for Krishna. Priti Sandarbha. In a similar way, Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur in his Dasamula Tattva, the very first of the tattvas is what? Vedas are the source of all knowledge. Same. That's why Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur is referred to as the seventh Goswami. Seventh Goswami, right? Because of course, for two reasons, I'm sure there are more. Two reasons. One is that he wrote many, many books, like the Goswamis. And secondly, because he had that full, clear, transcendental, he was fully understanding the subject matter of bhakti, which is what the Goswamis were commissioned to do by Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So in the Dasamula Tattva, the first eight are connected with Sambandha. So the first is establishing Vedas as a source of all knowledge. And then the next three, they're dealing with the Krishna Tattva. They're dealing with Tattva, three Tattvas in connection with Krishna. The first one being that Krishna, he is Param Tattva. He is the summum bonum, the culmination of all tattvas. He is the Param Tattva. And of course, that goes to explain what Srila Jiva Goswami explains also in terms of Brahmeti Paramatmeti Bhagavan iti sabjate, as mentioned in the Bhagavatam. And then the second tattva is referring to Krishna being the source of all energies, Shaktiman, and then it goes into detail about the three main levels of Shakti, Antaranga Shakti, Bahiranga Shakti, and Antaranga Shakti, yeah. And then the third tattva in regards to Krishna, which is very unique, in our Vaishnav Sampradaya, is Krishna described as Rasa Samudra. Rasa Samudra. He is ocean of transcendental mellows. He is the source of all rasa. He is the king of rasa. He is Rasaraj. And he is Rasa Samudra, ocean. So this covers the first four tattvas described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur. And then he goes on to describe another four in connection with the jiva. So the jiva, he mentions first is amsha, just like in the Bhagavad Gita, mamaya vangsho jiva loke, jiva bhuta sanatana. So living entity, jiva, is part and parcel, eternally part and parcel. never, I mean, that verse in itself defeats Mayavad philosophy. It's Mavai Vangsho Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta, Sanatana, Sanatana, eternally Amsha. Yeah. And then Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur describes the Jiva as being either of two categories, Nitya Mukta or Nitya Baddha. Living entities who come in the material world, they are Nitya Baddha. In one sense, actually, no living entity is Nitya Baddha. But because when we come in the material world, we get caught up for such a long time that it seems like Nitya, eternal. Yeah. So Nitya Baddha are those who are caught up and under the influence of the three modes of material nature. Then Nitya Mukta are those, vast majority, who never come in the material world, are always eternally liberated. And then the fourth tattva regarding the jiva is Veda Abeda, simultaneously one and different with. Yeah. One with and different from. One with in terms of quality and different in terms of quantity. Yeah. So that is covering in the Dasamula Tattva. Then, of course, the ninth Tattva that is described by Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur deals with the science of bhakti, devotional service, beginning with Sravanam, Kirtanam, Vishnu Smaranam, up until Atmanivedanam. And then, of course, the last Tattva is dealing with pure love of Krishna, Priti, as similar to Srila Jiva Goswami. So when we read, especially, I mean, we can begin to get a taste and understanding of this, especially in the Chaitanya Charitamrita, where these subject matters are more further elaborated, and in so many ways, of course, the pastimes of Lord Chaitanya, which he performed in Navadvip and especially in Jagannath Puri, are explaining in so many different ways this personal aspect, which is the unique feature of those who are personalists. We are personalists because we believe in the personal aspect and the the possibility of eventually reviving our personal relationship ultimately with Krishna. So all of us every day we have different tests because we are confronted with individuals, either devotees or non-devotees, and most of the time we fail the test because we have difficulty, even amongst devotees, because that is the test. How to, if we cannot establish wholesome, healthy, harmonious relationships with other devotees who are supposed to be, it's supposed to be easier to establish relationship with devotees because we're supposed to be on the same wavelength, same page, same understanding, same philosophy. Then if those difficulties are there, how we will establish a relationship with Krishna. And of course, there's devotees, and amongst devotees, there's one special devotee who's meant to be our spiritual master, who is described as being the via medium to establishing our eternal relationship with Krishna. So sometimes it is said, at least we hear at different times, that it's more difficult to deal with devotees than with non-devotees. True, you've heard that. Not only we hear it, but we experience also. Devotees, I rather work with non-devotees. Sometimes people will say that. And
I don't think it's generally always true because if I have relatives who are non-devotees, it's very difficult to deal with because I have already some relationship with them, like mother, father, brothers. If they are not devotees, it's very difficult to keep good relationship, long-term relationship, live with them. If you don't live with someone, you know, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, and that's okay.
can tolerate.
You don't open yourself. You don't
Yes.
try to have personal relationship. That's why not so difficult with non-devotees generally. But if someone have relationships,
Yes.
depend like boss.
Yes, yes, yes,
That's different.
yes, yes.
I think the problem begins with we create this dvandva in our mind. Like if you try to look at it from Mahabhagavata's perspective, they don't make distinction between devotees and non-devotees, and that's why they understand, you know, everyone is under the influence of the modes of nature and how the modes are working,
Yeah.
and you know so they're comfortable with all individuals. But as soon as we start making distinction, this is a devotee, non-devotee, that dvandva in our mind becomes a problem for us. And we start seeing fault. Hey, why this person is not behaving in this way? Atmavan manyate jagat. You know, everyone should act according to what I think is the
Yes.
proper way, and that's the beginning of all kind of problems. To illustrate the point, as you said, you know, are very committed devotees. You know, people who have actually moved to farms.
Yes, yes.
You know, I know devotees who are living on the farm without electricity,
Yes, yes.
and you know, in my conversation with them, they said sustainability is possible. We can live with electricity, that's possible. It's but extremely difficult to live with devotees
Yes.
in the farm.
Correct. Yes, yes. So that is, yeah, that is the challenge all of us have. It's difficult to deal with non-devotees, and it's difficult to deal with devotees, actually. I was referring, especially in the context of, for example, wherever we may be living, that it's easier when you have someone who's hired working for you to direct him than it is to deal with devotee on that level. But definitely with those who are working, let's say for us as hired persons, generally we cannot go very deep in the relationship.
It's impersonal.
Yeah.
It's just money transaction.
Right, right. I mean, occasionally somebody might show some signs and whatnot, but but yes, we're living with for a long period of time, especially, and for some it might be more. It might even be one day. It's very difficult for devotees to live with non-devotees for a long period of time because we are not able to exchange um, on a personal level, isn't it?
For example, I remember that Kunti Devi was praying to Krishna that cut out her family relationship
Yes,
to establish proper relationships, mood with them as Krishna sees them.
right.
So both both we have family relationships or mundane relationships and devotional
And
relationships, and they could
clash.
clash each other.
Yeah, yeah. Actually, it's only when, generally, it's only when, or it's especially when, maybe not only, but it's especially when some big crisis happens in our life that we are more directly confronted with, where are we at in terms of our understanding of the philosophy. Like somebody dies in the family unexpectedly. And even though they may be devotees, they find it very difficult because they have that natural um, attachment as family members. Um, of course, in the Srimad, Chaitanya Charitamrita, we have examples of personalities like uh, both Srivas, Srivas Thakur comes to mind, and then of course Shivananda Sen, who that whole lila of when the devotees were going to Jagannath Puri, and Nityananda Prabhu became very upset and cursed his wife that your son should die, and then Shivananda Sen came on the scene, and his wife was crying and very emotional that Nityananda Prabhu said this, and he said, and of course even Nityananda Prabhu kicked Shivananda Sen also for not having made proper arrangements for prasadam and staying and whatnot. But Shivananda Sen was totally transcendental, and even said that this is a benediction from Nityananda Prabhu that he is cursing like that. So, of course, this is extremely rare. Some cutting going on. Can you just check? I'm always, anyways, because it's before. Usually, workers come normally after 7. So, yeah, I mean, uh, we respect anyone who's actually practicing uh, cultivating transcendence, but um, there's a special. Those who are Vaishnavas are in a very unique uh, position, um, and this is what the sages of Naimisharanya are recognizing and able to appreciate in the person of Sutta Goswami, that he had that great fortune to associate with and to hear from such great personality as Shukadeva Goswami, and also uh, to associate with Parikshit Maharaj, who was asking all kinds of very interesting questions. There's a whole exchange. It's not that Shukadeva Goswami spoke, only he spoke. There was some exchange at different times between these two great personalities. So, what do you think? True, not true? Yes.
One more realization I wanted to share was that unless one has a specific duty to correct their dependents,
The art of correction.
yeah, then one should avoid finding faults. Be more like honeybee than
Correct.
say fly, right? And then that will solve most of the personal
Yes, yes.
interpersonal problem with
Yeah.
devotees.
That is a hard one for many devotees to kind of catch or understand, or the natural tendency of a conditioned soul is to find fault. So there's a whole procedure or process, which, of course, sometimes we may have very genuine concern about something that an individual is doing, but then we need to learn to bring it up to the proper authorities. Yeah, then they can deal with it in their capacity of temple president or whatever.
I think empathy is very important when we realize that, hey, he is in this situation because of conditioning.
Yes.
I have a different set of conditioning.
Yeah.
In due course of time, that conditioning, I might very well have that same conditioning.
Yes.
Because the modes are constantly changing. When we, in that fashion, if we try to see Samadarshi, right?
Yes.
It's just everyone's struggling with different layer of conditioning. And there's empathy, then that releases all the tension that could build between.
Yes. Yes.
I think here, which is which you mentioned, that Jiva Goswami made the tremendous work to establish a common understanding of all the words of Vedas. What does it mean knowledge? What does it mean supreme person? Because in all relationships, I see, because we are international movement, all relationships very much depend on how much we understand each other. If you don't speak the language which I am familiar, very difficult to establish, as as you told, we could have some emotions for each other,
Yeah.
but real real established relationship is very difficult without proper knowledge. So I'm really wondering how gurus are dealing with devotees who don't really understand their language,
Yes.
and see a lot of difficulties come up just because the language is not so perfectly used between persons, between guru and disciples, between two devotees. I think that's very, it's not so much emphasis, but it's very important to deal with that point.
What you're saying is that, if I understand, uh, the point you're making is that language uh, language goes beyond words.
Yes. Connect emotionally, then even
Right.
if you don't understand the words,
Right.
you can connect.
I mean, just words is not
Right.
sufficient, which is the point you're making. Yeah. Yeah, and again, it comes back to the same point: how sambandha, and in the context of where we are as an international society, with so many different personalities, so many different authorities, so many different gurus, for example, then sambandha becomes even more critical, more challenging. You know, and unless we give the necessary time and also sufficiently understand this important aspect, then the tendency will be to make all kinds of mistakes in our dealings with one another, and we see this happening, of course, all the time. Um, and we see this. We were discussing just a few days ago. We see this happening in particular in marital relationships, which is, of course, in the material world, in the present context of a completely broken society, understandable, but it is much less understandable or acceptable. I suppose it's we can make the case that it's much less acceptable, but more maybe more easily understandable because we are not doing certain things as devotees that we should be doing to avoid or prevent such type of breakdown of communication, especially within, let's say, married situations or between disciples and guru
Yeah.
also. Yeah. Um, so there is.
And when
Um,
we work together, devotees work together, and if they don't understand each other, why they speaking in this way or that way, why they are dealing with this way, then they can misunderstandings, and they can feel some hurt from another person, maybe neglecting, but other person maybe just have different focus.
I think I think devotees should be sent more often on excursions. You know, I mean, the point I'm trying to make is that devotees should be maybe taken out of their general maybe routine to with others so that they can come to see other aspects
Right.
and other people can see other aspects within us as well.
Also, I think outlook is very important. Our own mental frame in any
Mm,
dealings, if the outlook is positive, giving the other person benefit of doubt,
yes,
even when there is doubt,
yes,
just makes it very easy for our own mind itself. The
yes,
other
yes.
is, if you negative outlooks there, then even if that person has no other intention, we'll always see. So it's a lot of these things are just in our mind.
Yeah, yeah. Well, in Kali Yuga, we're pretty well all mental cases, right?
Yes.
Just have an appointment. We meet at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock, and the person is not there, one of them. Immediately there is some doubt arising. Did he understood that? Uh, he will come, but he's just was something difficulties to come like that. In the spiritual world also, the many pastimes is around this misunderstanding. The just the meeting time, just the meeting place, and so many beautiful pastimes, emotions, millions of emotions arise just from this misunderstanding. Did you meet at 6 o'clock or 6:05? Are you here or
Which
there?
one come?
The same thing for devotees. We should see it like a pastime, not like a
Yeah.
cause of anxiety.
Yeah. Well, we have many such pastimes here, actually.
Morning pastime.
Many, like practically daily. Yeah. Okay. Jai Grantaraj Srimad Bhagavatam ki,
Jai.
Jai Shri Prabhupada ki, Gauratimanaji.